Bombshell Gooners David Ornstein has just revealed Arsenal's transfer plans after the Champions League final, and the club could spend even more than the £250 million invested last summer. Meanwhile, Micah Richards is urging Mikel Arteta to sign the hottest number 9 in world football to completely transform Arsenal's attack. And finally, Arsenal have officially listed 3 players they're willing to sell, including Gabriel Martinelli, in a move that could generate crucial transfer funds. If you want all the details on how Arsenal plan to bounce back from the final defeat, subscribe right now, turn on notifications, and let's dive into the ambitious plans coming next. Let's jump straight into the first story because David Ornstein has detailed Arsenal's ambitious transfer plans after the Champions League final defeat, and what he's revealed is absolutely massive.
He has reshaped everything. He has brought them their first Premier League in 22 years, and he's brought them to a Champions League final for the first time in 20 years. That is an incredible achievement. And I imagine Arsenal, the hierarchy, couldn't ask for much more.
Absolutely. And they backed him in the not so good times. They're absolutely behind him now. So I'd expect him to get a pretty handsome new contract this summer, probably before next season starts. And I'd also expect them to back him in the transfer market again. We saw Andrea Berta just by the dugout. He looked devastated. He's their sporting director, and he'll be so determined to go again in the transfer market to really improve the quality in that squad. And their finances are in fantastic shape. So I would say this is a season of success, of progress, nearly even greater history. And they're really in good shape under Mikel Arteta to go on.
Tell us, obviously, winning the Premier League makes a huge difference, but tell us about those finances and what they've done this season that's been so different.
Well, they're on track to break Premier League records for revenue. It could go up to about £770 million, which has never been done. They're going to cross the £300 million mark for television money, which has never been done. So this is fantastic. The revenues are going through the roof at Arsenal. It's a period of milk and honey, if you like. That wasn't always the case. They were a team who was struggling post Emirates Stadium move. They posted profits, but that was because they were selling a lot of their best players. They weren't competing. They went, I think it was something like 15 or more years of making profits. In the last 7 years, and it will probably be 8 now, they're going to post a loss. But that's because the Cronkies, KSE, the ownership, have backed Mikel Arteta in the market. They've invested very heavily. They've even put their own money in, which everybody was asking for. They wanted success now, and it's come. It's been vindicated. They comply with all the rules. They look like they'll continue to do so. I do think they might have to sell some players in the near future. They don't have to break even or anything like that in 2026. But I think to keep things balanced, to keep compliant, is probably quite wise. And they might not have this success again, so it's probably necessary.
It is a strong position.
That's right.
Going to the Emirates was, the promised land. Huge bills, £22 million a year they were having to cover when they just serviced that loan. The manager signs a lengthy contract. And now they're they own the club on their own, the Cronkies. So they can push and they can put the monies in. The revenue is astronomical. Arsenal fans have been coming out of the closet all over the world. Africa, you want to see the clamour for it. It's enormous. And I think that came from the brand of Arsene Wenger. And somewhere they lost winning things, but they're on their way to doing that again.
You mentioned Mikel Arteta's contract a minute ago. He's got 1 year left on the current one. Surely after everything is achieved, he can walk into that office and say, here's my number, you pay it to keep me, and sign him to a long contract.
Yeah, he's already on very lucrative terms. He earns around £15 million a year gross. And he'll want to rise on that. Pep Guardiola's gone now, so you could see Mikel Arteta perhaps as one of the, or if not the best paid player in the coach in the Premier League. And you might say deservedly so. Boys are right. They spent £267 million in the market last summer. They recouped very little. And I could see, because they know the need to improve at that top end, they're behind statistically, and you can see it with your eyes, the likes of PSG and Bayern Munich and so on. The number 9 position is interesting. A penny for the thoughts of Victor Gyökeres tonight, of course. His first season, and he helped them to this final and then was put on the bench. And then the left-sided attack is a big priority for them. And they've been looking at it for a few years. And I think this may be the summer where they really do go for something. They've got the options there. They want a 6-8 midfielder. They want to strengthen at right back as well. So when you tally up the amount they've got to do, you could see that outlay in the market from last summer repeated or even exceeded. And as Stevie says, make hay when the sun shines. The money is big now, and so it's almost like investing when you're on the top.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about Julian Alvarez, because Micah Richards has just urged Arsenal to sign the Atletico Madrid striker following the defeat in the Champions League final. Mikel Arteta's side had to deal with the heartbreak of losing on penalties in the Champions League final, with Berta and Gabriel Martinelli both missing their spot kicks. The Gunners took the lead in Budapest after just 6 minutes through Kai Havertz and were very unfortunate not to have beaten PSG. Following the heartbreak of losing to PSG on penalties, Richards has now been discussing what Arteta's team need to add to ensure they go one step further next season. His message is clear: get Alvarez. Micah Richards is keen for Arsenal to sign Atletico Madrid striker Alvarez following his impressive season. The former Premier League defender is a big fan of Kai Havertz. However, he believes that the team needs something different, like Alvarez. Speaking on the Rest is Football, Richards said, "I think they actually need another striker. Havertz is outstanding in terms of technical ability. I think Gyökeres has done well for coming in his first season, but if they could get someone like Alvarez, it would just give him something a little different, you know?" That's the key point. We need something different in attack. We need a player who can do things that our current strikers can't do. Barcelona have been trying to sign Alvarez, which has left Diego Simeone's side very frustrated, but Richards is unsurprised to see big clubs moving for him. He added, "That's what happens when your players are playing well. He's one of the best strikers in world football at the moment, going into the World Cup as a World Cup winner as well in the last tournament." Richards has also informed Arsenal that they need a left winger along with a midfielder. "I think they need a wide left." Yes, I would agree with that. I also think they need another central midfielder. I think not bringing in Norgard has worked to a certain degree in terms of his temperament, so he's not going to moan if he's not playing. Miles Lewis-Skelly could definitely do a job in there. I just feel that to get the best out of someone like Zubimendi, you need to be a little bit higher so he can get on the ball and then distribute his passing for a little bit deeper and dictate it. Now let's talk about the players Arsenal are ready to sell, because the club has officially listed 3 players after the Champions League final, and a £54 million star could also be sold. Arsenal are ready to listen to offers for Gabriel Martinelli, Leandro Trossard and Ethan Nwaneri, plus Martin Odegaard could also leave. The Gunners are preparing for a key overhaul of the squad this summer to ensure they retain their Premier League title and get over the line in the Champions League next season. Andrea Berta will be extra motivated to make this summer's transfer window a success after the disappointment of losing the Champions League final. Sales are going to be key towards Arsenal's bid to bring in new signings. Therefore, some key names could make way. According to The Telegraph, Arsenal are ready to sell Gabriel Martinelli, Leandro Trossard and Ethan Nwaneri. The Gunners are going to need to sell this summer, given the fact that last summer's £268 million spend will fall into this financial year's books. Martinelli has been at the club for 7 years, but could finally depart with the Gunners looking to upgrade their left-wing options. The 24-year-old showed much promise in the early stages of his Arsenal career. However, he has never quite taken off at the Emirates Stadium. Trossard could also be another big sale for the Gunners, again with the club looking to strengthen their attacking options. The Belgian attacker has produced some clutch moments throughout the season, but at 31, now could be a good time to raise funds for him and move in a different direction. An unpopular sale would be Nwaneri, who is very well liked amongst the fans, given he is a Hale-End product with huge potential. Nwaneri had a very tricky loan spell at Marseille, and after failing to progress with the French club, the teenager could be sold. The 19-year-old's sale could represent pure profit for Arsenal and really help with offsetting the costs of new signings. Nwaneri has been linked with a move to Como under Cesc Fabregas. Meanwhile, Chelsea have also shown interest. Arsenal could also end up selling Martin Odegaard, who is very well liked by Mikel Arteta and could be a huge offload. The Arsenal captain has just 2 years left on his contract, and the Gunners could think about moving him on, especially with Eberechi Eze in the squad. Odegaard is valued at £54 million and could raise great funds if the club were to move him on in the summer. That would be controversial, but it's apparently being considered as Arsenal looks at every possible avenue to fund their ambitious summer window. All right, Gooners, that's all the massive news about Arsenal's ambitious plans going forward. Now I want to hear from you. Should Arsenal spend 250 million again? Is Alvarez worth fighting Barcelona for? And do you agree with selling Martinelli and potentially Odegaard? Drop all your thoughts in the comments right now. I read every single comment, and your debates are always incredible. Let's discuss what Arsenal should do this summer. And if you enjoyed this breakdown and want every Arsenal update throughout the transfer window, you absolutely need to hit that subscribe button immediately. Smash it right now and turn on notifications. We're building for success next season. Until next time, Gooners, trust the ambition, and come on you Gunners!